Today's show is made possible by 8 Sleep. I've always slept pretty well. My wife has not, and that's very important to have when you have a 2-year-old at home. 8 Sleep's Pod 3 cover brings heating and cooling tech that keeps you comfortable and sleeping deeper for a better, more restful night. Tell you more about them later on in today's show. $200 off the pod cover at 8sleep.com/chatsports. Now, we will probably not have our live show on Monday because we will be traveling to the NFL Combine up in Indianapolis. We will have Combine coverage for you here on the channel and also real-time updates on my Twitter at WhatGoingDowney. Hit me up there for Combine coverage, and of course, if you have any questions on the Cowboys or the general NFL as well. Zeno, it truly amazes me. And many people say, get rid of Dak because he's not won a Super Bowl. Do you realize the amount of quarterbacks who have a Super Bowl that are still playing aren't many? And once you take away the Mahomes-Brady, you're trying to get one, is what you're going for there. Ecuador man AOG, Graham Barton, lineman from Duke, and Edgerrin Cooper, linebacker from A&M, or Zach Frazier, the center from West Virginia, or NC State linebacker Peyton Wilson. I would lean Barton and Cooper. Frazier, Barton can go either way for me, frankly. Barton, if you want the left guard, I suppose, and put Towers with the left tackle. Cooper over Wilson, similar talent levels, I believe, but Wilson's got double-digit surgeries already. Ecuador man, what round for Xavier, Legette, and Jalen Polk, the 2 receivers from South Carolina and Washington, and who do you like? Give me Jalen Polk. I think he's a bit underrated at this stage. Polk's going to be a round 2 for me. Legette's going to be somewhere in that day 2 range. I'm a little bit anxious for how he tests. Fine, that's a little bit of a... I'm just curious how well he tests athletically. I think there's some upside there. Could it impress? Or I've seen guys like N'Keal Harry's similar body type not test the way I thought they should have and ended up not working out for them. A $10 super thanks from Richard Robinson. Who's QB2? Rush, Lance, or somebody else? The goal for the Cowboys, as it's been from the day they traded for him, is that the 2024 backup is Trey Lance. And frankly, he plays so well in the postseason, you can potentially move on from Cooper Rush. Now, you can have 3 quarterbacks, and you get that freebie to a certain extent for game day rosters. So maybe you add a UDFA or you release Rush and bring him back even cheaper as an option potentially there till he takes a pay cut. But you want Lance to win that quarterback 2 job and set yourself up to be a better, younger, more dynamic backup than just a kind of average bus driver in Rush. After all, Rush was a free agent 2 years ago, and there was not much interest in him. That's why the Cowboys got him so cheaply. So their goal is Lance emerges as quarterback 2 throughout this preseason. So who will be QB2? TL for Trey Lance, CR for Cooper Rush. It's the pinned comment on today's video. The ad comes here on YouTube. Take advantage of it. Head down there and go vote. Juan Ramos, who's the better running back for the Cowboys? Derrick Henry, Saquon Barkley, or Josh Jacobs? I would lean towards Henry. I think he'll be the cheapest of the trio. And if they really are committed to not changing their run scheme, which is going to be a huge mistake, I want the bigger battering ram guy. So I'd probably rank them Henry, Jacobs, and Barkley in that order. Joseph Ian Torres. If Jerry and the Cowboys are all in, I think you would extend Dak and give him weapons and build him a defense to go to Super Bowl run. No more of this halfway in type crap. This is where I am at. It's not that you have a bad team. You don't. You have a really good football team. You're just not good enough, and it's been that way for 28 years. The Cowboys haven't really been nearly as aggressive and all-any as other organizations have. At some point, you will have to rebuild. I would rather embrace that rebuild down the line, accept it for an extra year, or as opposed to, just 1 year, you can do it for 2 years, and try to be more aggressive right here and right now. From Vince, Chiefs have the best quarterback and know how to draft. How do you beat them with a more expensive Tier 3 quarterback? Rebuild. How are we defining Tier 3? Because that's important. Do we have Mahomes on his own tier? And then it's like the freakazoids, like Josh Allen's and maybe Lamar in there too, and then Dak, that's fine. As long as Tier 3 is still top 10. Like, at that point, that's fine. How do you beat them? The Niners should have beat them. I think you can do it. Now, it's not going to be easy, but at the same time, if the plan is we rebuild and go find our own Mahomes, good luck. Like I think that's going to be even more challenging and more likely by a big margin to lead to worse results. But it is a plan. The nice part is I'm in the NFC. So that's a big future issue. How do you beat the Niners? That's kind of my bigger priority because that's step one in the process there. But this is a viable plan. I would rather start the rebuild now than kick the can down the road and say, we'll see what changes happen by running it back and doing nothing. I would rather rebuild than just do the restructure thing. Now, did you know that sleep science shows in order to sleep our best, our body temperature needs to drop in the early and middle part of sleep and rise in the morning? You probably didn't know that because you're not a nerd. But the 8 Sleep Pod cover will improve your sleep by automatically adjusting your bed's temperature based on your individual needs. The cover is added to any bed like a fitted sheet and allows you and your partner to cool or warm your side of the bed as low as 55 degrees and up to 110 degrees. There is no better way to improve your day-to-day life than better sleep. I say that as a person with a 2-year-old at home who just wants dad's cuddles. The easy way to improve your sleep is with the 8 Sleep Pod 3. In addition to keeping your body temperature all night, the pod also tracks your sleep and health metrics. On average, pod users see their sleep quality improve by 32% after just a month on the pod. So go to 8sleep.com/chatsports and get $200 off plus free shipping on the pod cover by 8 Sleep. Start the new year right and invest in the rest that you deserve with the 8 Sleep Pod. Links in the comments section and the description of today's show. From Ollie to Booger, am I saying that right? It's first time super chat, so thank you, Ollie. Restructure Dak, let him have a lame duck year. I actually hate this idea. I move on then. We should know by now if we think we can win with Dak or not. And if you don't think you can, then let's tear the Band-Aid off and rebuild. Because restructuring Dak, doing the lame duck year thing, it's not going to work. And if it does work, well, now you're really in trouble. Because he's going to hit free agency. And he might be like, you didn't believe in me. So I'm out. There's no reason to do that. Either you believe in him or you don't. And if you don't, okay, then move on. If you do, then restructure. Same argument went for Mike McCarthy, by the way. And the Cowboys took the middle ground there, and I hated it. The Lunatic, how does Zim not burn out Tank? Tank was not being honest. If you guys have ever listened to any of the Tank Lawrence press conference interview stuff or just interview clips, he's very blunt and sometimes vulgar and will not shy away. The comments about, we were burnt out was, I'm just not going to say what I would normally say because I'm going to get in trouble. That was a empty platitude excuse when they were not burnt out more than anybody else. They just played like crap. They weren't well prepared, and Tank didn't want to throw players or coaches under the bus. That's what that was. And in the end, he kind of jumped in front of the bus and he didn't jump in front of us. He stumbled, tripped, and fell in front of the bus. And that didn't go over very well, nor should it have. From Spencer, is there a way the Cowboys can get Brock Bowers? I don't know. He does worse than the Bong video from Laramie Tunsil. I'm looking at teams like the Colts and the Bengals in the top 20 and being like, yeah, he ain't going to get past them. Do you want to trade up for, he's probably going to be a top 10, top 5 player on most people's boards. Great player. But yeah, you already have a good tight end in Jake Ferguson. I'm not trying to trade up for him. And if he does fall to you, it probably means something bad happened. And at that point, you probably don't want him. Who is your dream Cowboys draft target? So dream, you can put in Marvin Harrison Jr. or Joe Alt or Olu Fashanu, whoever, or even Caleb Williams. Sound off for me in the comments section right now. Food review. It's pick 38-40. At 24, you picked insert offensive lineman. And my guy Kool-Aid McKinstry is on the board. Would you have to trade up and take him? Do you even want to trade up? In general, I don't like trading up. I like to have my draft picks, although this team can't draft in the second round very well either, so there you go. My concern here is that I actually like Kool-Aid a lot. If he doesn't test well and the speed concerns are real, that's how he could slide. Maybe you don't want to trade up for him. But if it's the same guy I think that he is and he's there somehow, pick 40, I'll package how about this? My 2 this year and my 2 next year. And I'll trade up to go get him because I can't draft with my 2s anyway. Eli Aaron, Leighton Vander Esch has got to go. Not because he's regressing, but his health comes first. I think this is the most likely outcome. He's got family considerations now. I think the neck's not going to hold up, so probably is the path they end up going. We will have tons of NFL Combine coverage for you right here on the channel. YouTube.com/@CowboysTV for more free Cowboys videos. Ecuador man, if Dak is so want to do the Wilson no trade deal. If that's the route you want to go, sure. Now, I think the big core difference there is there's probably more leverage from Dak's side than what Wilson had because Wilson wasn't coming off a second-team All-Pro season, and maybe that means maybe Dak doesn't play hardball with you or plays hardball with you. That's a potential red flag there. Again, I would also, in general, I believe this path, if you can get all those assets for one player, maybe you shouldn't go down that path. But if rebuild is your strategy, work with him, figure out how to waive the no-trade clause, and move on. The downside here is, Russ was like, I don't care, I just want out of here. Downside is Dak could go, yeah, you can trade me, but I'm not going to let my new team give up a bunch of assets for you because I have the no-trade clause. So those are kind of the red flags you can potentially run into there. But if you want to rebuild, that is your path. Do it now instead of dragging your feet and doing nothing. Lunatic, do we know the Joneses are all in like it means? I don't think they are. Until they show it, I'm not doing it. I don't believe them. All in for them means we're going to re-sign Lamb and Micah and say our pie's taken up. It's not all in. If they thought the Eagles were all in last year, and they clearly weren't. So I don't think it means the same thing it does for us, and that's concerning. Martin, would you trade up in this year's draft? In general, I don't like trading up because I want picks, and I think volume matters. But I think a trade down could make some sense too, because you're also super light on picks more than most years, making it even more challenging. What would you rather do? D for trade down, U for trade up. Sound off in the comment section for me right now. Reginald Mims, Dak should get an extension. Minus the playoff disaster, he has been consistent during his current contract. Every year, people try to make claims he's not a top 10 quarterback, and every year ends up proving him wrong. I think that's valuable. Now, if you believe you need a top 5 guy, okay, it's a different conversation there, and I think a more argumentative one that has some credence to the other side of not being that guy. But let me put it this way. If you had just gotten the deals done earlier, no one would be in this conversation point, and we'd all probably be feeling pretty decently. But they dragged their feet at the beginning, and they're still reaping the negative benefits or the negative downsides as a result. The Lunatic, FSU receiver in the first, that's Keon Coleman. What position in round 2? Can you find a good offensive lineman? Can you get a linebacker that you like? Kind of depends on how the board all falls, for me at least. $5 from Rebuild. Should we draft a running back? If so, who are your top 3 prospects? I would like to draft one. I'd like to go, round 3 if I had a round 4 pick, sure. So the top 3 guys might not get there for you. So some additional beyond top 3 names. If Trey Benson's my number 1 guy right now, it's all pre-combine, which will change some stuff. If he were healthy, Jonathan Brooks would have been my guy out of Texas, but he's got the ACL. It's a big red flag for me. After that, maybe it's Braylon Allen from Wisconsin. Guys like Michigan's Blake Corum stand out. Will Shipley from Clemson's a fun piece. I think that kind of between your round 2, round 3 picks might be the heavy sweet spot for a bunch of backs going off the board.